Roundtable. I want to thank you for inviting us here because the work that we're doing here and the work that you all have been doing is needed for such a time as this. So, for many years, Melanie and her team have been convening Black women for conversations on what we need to do to win economic security and justice for our families and our communities. And this is something that we know, as you've heard, as you all know what's happening, as we see rollbacks, we know that this is the conversation that we need to be having right now. For my organization, Oxfam, is a global organization, and we fight inequality to end poverty and injustice. So we have a confederation of organizations, and we're in 80 different countries, and I lead the domestic work in the United States. So our program is national in scope, but we're focusing on the Southeast, and this is where the partnership with the Black Women's Roundtable comes into play. You know, where we're coming together and we're looking at economic justice, climate, environmental justice, and gender equity. So our work in the Gulf South originally started in the early 90s, and this was after Hurricane Katrina. It was here in the Gulf South. And our partnership with Melanie and Cassandra with the Black Women's Roundtable, that started about 6 years ago, and that was under the leadership of Joy Owens Norwood, who will be coming up soon. So this was a big part of Joy's work that we're just continuing to carry on. So more recently, our partnership is really focused on the Black women's leadership and what we need to do specifically. So as Black women, we are the backbone of this country, and we are the backbone of this democracy. And we have the highest workforce participation. So it's really time, like we said, for our needs to be on the ballot, for us to be a part of this democracy. So this is the time for us to come together around our own agenda with solutions that work for us. Solutions for economic security that are involving where we're considering affordable housing, where we're looking at reproductive rights, access to food, education, and more importantly, how we get the vote out. So this is a moment of urgency, and I'm so thankful for the Black Women's Roundtable because they are always at the forefront of calling us together, calling us to the table, to convening us to strategize and to fight. So we're being attacked on all fronts. We know this. And so today we get to hear about the current issues, about what we need to do, and we get to make decisions, and we get to come together as women, as Black women. So I want to thank Melanie and her team for everything that they've done, the work that they've done, and bringing us together and making room at this table for us, because it is our time as Black women. And I just want to say thank you. I'm going to step down now, and I'm looking forward to the conversations. It's a blessing to be here.
Thank you so much. Next from W.K. Kellogg Foundation, Joy Owens Norwood, Program Officer. Let's give her a hand, please.
Good morning. Thank you, Cassandra, Melanie, and the Black Women's Roundtable, and all of your leaders for inviting me to join you today. I'm Joy Owens Norwood, and currently I serve as a program officer for the WKKF Kellogg Foundation. I serve on our Southern Pod, and specifically the Mississippi Squad in the Mississippi office, and I want to make sure that I acknowledge our great Director of Programming and Leadership, Rhea Williams-Bishop. So briefly, I want to share a little bit about the WKKF Kellogg Foundation and the work we do. In 1930, breakfast cereal innovator and entrepreneur William Keith Kellogg founded the WKKF Kellogg Foundation. And he founded this saying, use money as you please, as so long as it promotes the health, happiness, and well-being of children. And for nearly 94 years, that has been our North Star, lasting change for children. But we know for children to thrive, their families need to be able to provide for them. Their communities need to be equitable places of opportunity. So our work connects what children, families, and communities need at home, in early childhood care settings, at school, at work, and in their community. As a recognized leader in the philanthropic community, we are dedicated to centering the voices that provide economic security for children and families. Our role as a funder underscores our deep commitment to supporting organizations and programs that empower and uplift underrepresented communities. Through our strategic investments and partnerships, we strive to create sustainable and impactful solutions that address systemic inequalities, promote economic stability, and foster a more inclusive society for us all. By investing in initiatives that prioritize children and families' economic security through education, access to essential services for women and children, we aim to create a pathway for prosperity, empowerment that transcends generations. As a dedicated partner and sponsor, we stand in solidarity with the Black Women's Roundtable and advocates, community leaders, and our shared commitment to creating lasting change for families and children. I'm at a minute, so I'm gonna speed it up. Thank you for creating this space, Cassandra and Melanie, and thank you for the work you do. And I just wanna leave you with this quote: "In the midst of movement and chaos, keep stillness inside of you." And what this reminds me is to find peace and to find joy in ourselves in this busy and chaotic and crazy world that we live in today, and to stay grounded and to stay centered. I'm sending you all my joy. Thank you for having me.
And next, we have Tanya Lombard, VP Global and External Affairs, Head of Strategic Alliances, AT&T. She's not here. So finally, from One Voice, the Executive Director, Nishambi Lambright. Give her a hand as she comes up, please.
Oh man, I thought I had one person in between. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much to Melanie and Cassandra for inviting us back again to this wonderful convening between Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana women. It is so wonderful. Y'all should see the view from where I am. Y'all look beautiful and amazing. It is just glorious. It is so wonderful to always be in partnership with Black Women's Roundtable. As Executive Director of One Voice, we have been in partnership with Black Women's Roundtable from day one. And Cassandra and I's relationship go back way before Black Women's Roundtable. We have been together for about 30 years. Our relationship precedes her and her husband's relationship, and I remind Cass of that all the time. And it's so refreshing to be in a state where women work in partnership with one another and where partnership is not competitive, and where we work together to make sure that the work that Siobhan just talked about is done, and that it's not about competition, but it's about getting the work done that needs to be done in our states. We have to lift up the vote and lift each other up as leaders so that we can get this very, very important work done in the tradition of Fannie Lou Hamer, Myrlie Evers, Unita Blackwell, and all of the other women that we've talked about today. We have to continue to keep that work done. So as we continue our work, phone banking, canvassing, town hall meeting, all of that work that we continue to do, we have to remember what our ancestors and what our elders have taught us, and also listen to our young folks, because they are coming through and paving the way for us, and they're giving us advice on how to move forward. And so, Cassandra, as we move forward with our recent victory in Mississippi, we just had a victory with our statewide redistricting lawsuit. So as we move forward, we have to keep the work moving, and we have to keep having these regional conversations about how we keep this work moving forward and increase the vote. Thank you.
You know, the young folks call it standing on business. And when I say standing on business, I ain't talking about the negative way. But we got to stand on business, so we got work to do, y'all. Thank you to all our partners for their unwavering support. All right, we're going to go back just a little bit. Joteka Edie is here. If she'll come up, please. Thank you. She walked up in here, didn't she?
Good morning, Black women.
Good morning.
Well, thank you for the grace this morning. It is just an honor to be in this space with each and every one of you, with so many sister leaders, with the coalition leader herself, our sister leader, Sister Melody Campbell, Sister Cassandra, thank you so much. All the fellow sister leaders that I see in this room, Sister Angela, Sister Kimberly, Sister Siobhan, Bishop Leah, Sister Monica. I will get in trouble if I keep naming them all. Our Sister Erica, I call her my boss lady. Sisters, I just want to say that it is just an honor to be gathered with Black women. Because right now what we know is that there is always a vicious attack against us. But it's not just an attack against us. We see the vicious attack against our freedoms, our freedom to learn, our freedom to vote, our freedom to make decisions about our bodies. But understand that the attack is really about our power. The attack is about our collective power. But what I just want to say to us this morning is that there is nothing better than Black women who organize. There is nothing better and stronger than Black women who convene. There is nothing better and stronger than Black women who lead. Because I will tell you all day, every single day, that organized Black women will beat organized money any day, every day. That organized Black women will beat organized chaos every day, all day. And Black women organized will beat organized lies every day, all day. We know what is at stake. And I believe that it has been very clear to us from day one that we have no other choice in this country but for Black women to do what we have been doing since the beginning of time. And that is doing what we do, is saving this country, is saving democracy. We have no choice but to do what it is that we always do, is to make sure that we vote. And not only that we vote, but that we bring our families to vote, that we bring our brothers to vote, that we bring everyone that we know to the polls. Because there is a stark contrast in this country between what is the choice. Are we going to go back 400 years, or are we going to continue to move forward with the progression that we have seen under this very important administration? The policies that we see, we cannot have rolled back. And so as I leave today, I just want to call on the spirit of all those who've come before us. Because I just want to ask the question, is there the spirit of Harriet in here today? Is there the spirit of Shirley in here today? Is there the spirit in here of a Fannie Lou in here? Because I know we got Mississippi in the house. Is there a spirit of a Coretta in here? Do we have that spirit? I know that spirit exudes, y'all. So let us keep moving forward together, because I know when we come together as Black women, we will win all day, every day. Peace and power, my sisters. I love you. Thank you.
We got some power in the house. The power comes from the women. The power comes from the women. In the spirit of the 60th anniversary of Freedom Summer, we have a special guest today. Please welcome Reena Evers Everett, the daughter of civil rights activists Medgar Wiley Evers and Myrlie Evers Williams, and the executive director of Medgar and Myrlie Evers Institute in Jackson, Mississippi. Let's give her a round of applause as we celebrate Medgar's 99th birthday this week.
Good morning, glorious women. This is totally unexpected. One of my besties, Pam DC Jr., I'm supposed to be her assistant today. But you know, as women, as black women, we are here to assist wherever we need to be. We are here to move forward because we birth. God gave us the bodies to birth leaders, male and female. And there's several birthdays. There's a birthday that was just happy birthday to you. My father's birthday, Medgar Evers, was a couple days ago, his 99th. And so I'm not sure what to say except for I have been moved. But you know, the spirit, everybody's talking about our ancestors. Everybody's talking about the ones that are here. Leaders are within all of us. All of us. And we have to lean on each other. We have to support each other. And as my father said, but my mother was there. We cannot give up now. The vote is the power. But what we have to do is make sure we understand what we're voting for. We have to make sure that we check off that right mark. And our Mayor Mark Marial, he said, we might not like all that we're voting for, but we gotta vote for the best way. And so we just continue to move the needle fast forward. We have to continue to nurture that garden that we already planted seeds. And with our Reverend Siobhan bringing church into the house, bringing love into this spirit, I want you to understand your worth. I want us to know how empowered we are, not just in this room, but tomorrow morning when your feet might be aching after tonight. To make sure that you go ahead and keep in the forefront of your mind what we have to do to make sure all of these United States honor all of us, and that it doesn't stop November 6th, and that it continues always and forever. I thank you for honoring Thank you for honoring my father. Lift up your prayers for my mother. 91 and kicking. And to my sisters all around this room, but especially at this table, I thank you for supporting us and all of us supporting each other. And our brothers, you know what? You couldn't be here without us. All right? Let's just be clear. But we need you. So don't leave us, because we will never leave you. All right? I love to all of you, and I don't know what this is all about, but I'm waiting for the 1 minute mark to go. So I'm getting ready. I'm going to the right.
Stay right here. Go to the right. Go to the right. Why don't you just go right on over there in the middle? How about that? Just go to the middle. Go to the middle. Reena, we couldn't let this special moment go by without acknowledging, we know that Freedom Summer is here, 60th anniversary. And we know the work that your family, including you, have invested in us as Black people, us in this country, for our right to vote. And I also remember you telling me a couple of years ago, during the week of your dad's birthday, sometimes it gets a little hard. But we want to just lift you up together as Black sisters and acknowledge all the work that you've done and the work that your family has done and investing back into our young people. So Pam is going to read this to you. So this is just our love to you.
In honor and appreciation for your profound leadership, exemplary service, and unwavering commitment in championing the work of the Medgar and Myrlie Evers Institute in the fight for democracy, justice, and equality. Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable, July 5th, 2024. Let's give Reena Everett another hand, please. Now let's delve into the findings of the 9th annual BWR Essence Power of the Sister Vote poll. Please welcome Terrence Woodbury, founder of HIT Strategies. Terrence Woodbury.
Thank you. Can I try this one over here? Thank you all so much. Thank you for having me, Melanie. I always feel honored to be one of the honorary gentlemen in this room. So thank you, ladies, for having me. I am Terrence Woodbury. I own HIT Strategies. We're a full-service public opinion research firm that does polling and focus groups around the country, uplifting our voices. We hear a lot of noise about our community in polls right now, and I think a lot of it is misrepresenting and underrepresenting how Black folks really feel. So we started HIT Strategies 4 years ago to make sure that we are properly representing those opinions. And now we're 45 of the youngest and most diverse researchers in the country. We partner with Essence and Black Women's Roundtable to conduct a poll of 1,000 Black women nationally. I want to talk through some of the findings here, but before I click through here, because when Reverend Siobhan was up here, the spirit started moving, and so I started taking notes and some things I just had to make sure I said that might not be in this poll, because there is a lot of noise happening right now about Black folks. The number one thing that we are hearing is that Black folks are apathetic, not enthusiastic. I tell people all the time, just because Black folks are not voting enthusiastically doesn't mean they're not voting. Black people understand the assignment. Black people understand the threat. They understand what we have to do. We've seen the highest levels of perceptions of political power, and let me explain what that means. I don't know if I have a slide for that in here, but we measure, instead of measuring enthusiasm in Black folks towards the upcoming election, we measure perceptions of political power. And what we found is the higher that that Black folks perceive their own political power, the more likely they are to vote. Direct correlation. So we asked the question, regardless of how often you vote, how much power do you believe Your vote has to make a difference. Well, right now, we see black women's political power through the roof. 89% of black women believe that they have a lot of political power. Those are women that are going to vote, right? And so that's the first thing I want to just correct the record on. The second is that black folks don't feel like enough progress has been made. In fact, let's click through the slides. Some of this I'm gonna be able to get to here. And I want to be clear that I am representing the opinions of Hit Strategies and the voters that we talk to, and not black women. So can we go to the next slide? Somebody controlling these? All right, let me talk you through some of this real quick. It's a lot of words up here. I promise I'm gonna get to some data. I just want to hit a couple of points real quick. Number one, this is, as much as we're hearing about the economy, it is not an economy election. It's a cost election. What black folks are telling us when they say economy, what they're really talking about is the cost is too damn high, right? Every election is an economy election. In 2009, 2008, during the recession, the economy election was about foreclosures and jobs and wages. Well, this one is about cost. And we have to talk about what we're doing to bring down the cost of things. The cost of prescription drugs has gone down to cost of insulin has gone down to $35. The cost of education, the cost of housing. Number two, social issues are often less mobilizing, specifically for black men and for younger black voters. We hear a lot about the gender gap in the black community between black men and black women. We don't hear enough about the generation gap between younger black voters and older black voters. Black men are 4 points less likely to vote for Joe Biden today than black women are. 4 points. That's the gender gap that everybody's hair is on fire about. 4 points. Black youth under the age of 40 are 40 points less likely to vote for Joe Biden than black seniors. 40 points. That is where the gap is. That is where the erosion is happening. It's young people, and not just young black folks, it's young people that are very frustrated with the system, that don't want to defend democracy, and they don't want to defend a system that hasn't worked for them. They don't want to defend the thing that's broken. In fact, the last thing down here is we got to move from defending democracy to fixing democracy, because fixing democracy implies that it's not working for everybody, and enlist them in the fight to help make it work. So some of the social issues aren't as mobilizing. Voting rights and climate and even racism is not always as mobilizing for folks that are prioritizing their economic needs. Abortion is the exception to that. Abortion is incredibly mobilizing for black people, especially for black youth. Not just young black women, for young black people. Abortion is incredibly mobilizing. Number three, the rightfully cynical black voters, right? There's about 33% of black folks that are closest to the pain, lowest per capita income, lowest education. For those voters, right, you might hear them referred to as double haters. They don't like either party, they don't like either candidate. Well, for many of them, the number one reason that they give me for why they may not vote in this election is that they don't feel like enough progress has been made. I keep telling folks that hope is a fragile thing. We can't inspire people and get them engaged and then not deliver anything. Hope is fragile. And so, while a majority of black folks say that their lives have not improved since Joe Biden became president, the fact is that 80% of the black policy agenda has been achieved or initiated. 80%. This is an empirical number. And look, in every focus group I do, I hear black folks tell me nothing has improved. Nothing has gotten better. 80% of the black agenda. The reason this is an empirical number, I did a poll with another one of our sister leaders, Alicia Garza, and Black Future Labs, where we created a black policy agenda. In January 2021, when this administration was first elected, we let black folks tell us which policies were most important to them, and we've tracked the progress of those policies. 80% of it has happened. But if they can't access it, y'all, there's a right and a wrong way to talk about progress. If we just tell them how much money we've spent, how many billions of dollars we've allocated, how many billions of loans we've forgiven, and they can't access any of it, guess what? It enforces that cynicism, that government works for everybody but them. And so we got to give them access to it. I call it click here messaging. Every ad that we run should end with, and if you need access and if you need help with this thing, then pull out your phone and scan here. If you need help with your student loans, scan here. If you need to find prescription, $35 insulin in your community, scan here. If you need help with affordable housing, scan here. We can't just tell them about the progress and not give them access to it. Finally, this is my last point before I got to jump off the stage. This is number 4 here. They don't believe us anymore. They don't believe the politicians, none of them, even the ones they like. They really like Barack Obama. But when he shows up in their community and tell them that if they vote in this election, then their loans could get forgiven too, then we're going to defend democracy, they don't believe him either. And it's not because they don't like him. It's that, look, it was a young man in a focus group who said to me, my hood didn't get any better under Obama, it ain't getting no worse under Trump, so what has Biden got to do with me? That's a level of cynicism that is hard to penetrate, and it's very hard for a politician to penetrate. So what do we have to do? My last point here, because this is where I enlist all of you, we have to reposition the hero of this story. The hero of this story is not going to be Joe Biden, it's not going to be Kamala Harris. The hero of this story has to be us. I call it FUBU voting, for us, by us. Our votes are making our lives better. And then the last point I want to make here, because I didn't even get into any of the data and I got to jump, but the last point I want to make is about the threat, which is not on this slide. The threat in this election, because we are going to have to mobilize a lot of folks on the progress that's been made, but we're going to have to mobilize a lot of folks on the threat that's on the other side. And the threat to black folks, I cannot emphasize this enough. The threat is not racism. They know he's racist. This is why his racism hasn't been disqualifying. It's the impact of that racism. The threat is that will put us in a clear and present danger, is that your mama ain't safe at the grocery store. Your auntie ain't safe at church. The threat is that they still standing back and standing by. The threat is that he putting Oath Keepers and Proud Boys on stage and saluting them and promising them immunity. That's the threat that we got to crystallize to them, because we've heard it on this stage a few times, not on our watch. We cannot let it happen. Black women understand the assignment. Black people understand the assignment. We got a little bit of work to do with young black folks. We got some work to do there, connecting them to the progress and defining the threat. But don't let anybody tell you, don't let these polls tell you that black folks ain't voting. Don't let these polls tell you that they all voting, that they all swinging to another party. We understand the assignment, and I appreciate you all for giving me a chance to talk to you a little bit.
Thank you, Terrence, for those enlightening insights. Now, let's dive into our first power table discussion, focusing on achieving racial, gender, economic, and social justice, and the power of the sister vote in the 2024 presidential election. To introduce our dynamic moderator, please welcome back Dr. Melanie Campbell. Okay, you got it, okay. Here she comes. She said no.
Hey, ladies. Woo, y'all know, how many folks do events? How many folks do Black women's events? So y'all know how we do. We don't get to sit down. But first of all, I just want to just thank, if everybody's coming up walking and thanking me for this beautiful room, I ain't had nothing to do with it. Me and Cassandra paid for it. But I want all of the sisters, mostly from Mississippi, who did a lot of the heavy lift, Kara, where you at, girl? Wave your hand, Cara, I'm sorry. And all of the folks that worked together to make this beautiful room that it is. So can y'all give them a wonderful? Because as sisters, it's important that we have the ambiance, not just of the power and the burden of power, but that we have a wellness experience. So I hope y'all are having that. But our sister who's about to step up here, you know, I'm not gonna get into her bio. I'm gonna get into the essence of who Angela Rye is, right? And Angela Rye, I met Angela, I believe you were on the Hill. Before you became the executive director. It was way back, maybe Black Leadership Forum days, yes. Ooh, that was a minute, right? And I remember before I knew Angela, that when it comes about not being afraid and having courage to speak your mind and say what needs to be said, you do that, right? Sometimes you know you can cut somebody, but sometimes folks need to be cut. How about that, right? And because we're in this moment, and so she and Tiffany, it's Native Land Podcast, right? When we need a moment, her and Andrew Gillum, my brother from Florida in the house, any Floridians in the house, have started this podcast, but it's the moment that we need voices that are unapologetic and say what needs to be said, who understand how to manipulate and utilize and love on our Black culture for movement. Say culture for movement, culture for power, culture for just loving on Black folks unapologetically. That is Angela Rye. Give us a good sister love clap for my sister, our leader, Angela Rye.
Okay, I gotta take instructions from this one. She's talking about I'll cut somebody. I have never been cut by mail, and I'm not trying to, so I'm gonna be obedient. Before we get started with the panel, don't act like y'all not from Black Church and don't understand. It's a program, and then it's a program. So we on that program, because folks got things to do. But it's wonderful to see you all. You all look beautiful. I'm happy to be celebrating Essence Fest with you all. And before we get into the panel, our good sister Erica Lowe is going to come and share with us. Erica is making things move at the White House in the Office of Public Engagement. She's working on all things Black. Say Black. Erica Gata, she's the chief of staff, and she is amazing. I've known her since Capitol Hill. She doesn't play, she doesn't crack, she doesn't buckle under pressure, but she's always working on our behalf. Erica Lowe.
Thank you, Angela. I too can attest that Angela will cut you if you get sideways with her, but she will also love on you and support you and uplift you, and I thank you, Angela. I bring greetings, brief greetings, from President Biden and Vice President Harris. As you all know, you will hear from Vice President Harris, who is landing around 7:30 today, and you will hear from her tomorrow at 5:15, so please go to the convention center and support that Black woman. Melanie Campbell called me first thing this morning and said, you better be here on time because there's too much at stake. And when Melanie calls you, you come. But what I love about being in this room particular is that you all know what's at stake already. So I don't have to rattle down the accomplishments. According to Terrence, that might not be the most effective way to do this anyway. We travel across the country and folks say all the time, what has Joe Biden and Kamala Harris done for Black people? In this room, you all say, we know what's at stake. We know what they've done. That's why we put them in office in 2020. That's why we knocked on doors and made things happen in 2022, and that's why we're trying to help y'all in 2024, so help us help you. So instead of coming here to sell you on something that you've already made happen, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to all of the women in this room. I want to say thank you to Melanie Campbell. I want to say thank you to Bishop Daughtry, Joteka, who was here, Angela, as I've already said. Siobhan, Reverend Siobhan, I appreciate you and I thank you for all that you do. They never fail to call me, whether it's good or bad. They call me to tell me I did something right, or they call me to tell me you better get right. And you need women in your life who do that. And so I want to say thank you. I want to make sure each of you know who I am. Each of you are connected with my colleagues on the ground. I have a number of people from the White House. We have a number of folks from the campaign. We want to make sure that you, after you hear from the Vice President directly tomorrow, you know who we are. You reach out to us, you email us, you call us. We are real people, and that's how we'll get this done. We have to work together. If we don't work together, we won't get this done. So thank you. Appreciate your time. Thank you, Ms. Angela.
Okay, it's on. All right. Y'all awake? We getting ready to get into it. So I'm going to have the panelists start walking up as I call you up because it's been a Black church program. So y'all can start coming up. We have Cassandra Welchland, Executive Director and Co-Convener of Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable, MSBCP. We have Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw, Co-Founder and ED of the African American Policy Forum, the host of Intersectionality Matters. And we have Letitia Jackson, convener of South Alabama Black Women's Roundtable, president and CEO of Tandika LLC. I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. And last but certainly not least, a powerful Black woman leader, Monica Simpson, executive director of Sister Song. And I'm just kidding. I know, Mel, I'm on it. Another last, because we are at Black Church Program. So my final closing is the great bishop herself, Leah Daughtry, who is the founder and co-convener of Power Rising. Leah is added to our panel. She has an important event she has to get to. We all seated? Do we have enough microphones? We're going to share? We need one more mic? Okay, you guys are going to share. All right. So here we are. There was something that that Mark Morial said, our forever NOLA mayor, and he talked about the consumer power of Black women, not just at Essence, but I think generally. I'm starting somewhere, Mel, I take this agenda as guidance, so it's not a direct question. I hope y'all didn't study these questions because we're going to beeline a little bit. We're going to bring it back. But I want us to talk very briefly, even kind of tying in some of the things that Terrence mentioned in the polling results. We don't always translate that to the other kinds of power that we need to move the needle in this country. This room does. But when we walk outside of those doors, that power doesn't translate. We know we have the power to buy the bag or the shoes or the jewelry or to look fly. And most of the time we be looking fly for each other, right? Right? We just got to be like, we got to make sure we keep that same energy, right? But we need to keep that same energy not just at the polls, in our activism, in our civic engagement all year long. What do we do to ensure that that power translate beyond what we spend into ownership of an agenda, into ownership of that business, into ownership of shifting and changing the community? As Terrence said, becoming the heroes of our own story. It's always a FUBU election, but now we need some FUBU agenda accomplishments passed so we can keep it FUBU. So my question is, what do we do to ensure that that power translates? How do we communicate this power that we've harnessed all day? We're standing on the shoulders of our ancestors. As we walk out of those doors, how do we ensure that it translates? Anyone feel called? You need a microphone. You can have mine.
Okay, great. Peace, everybody. It's really a beautiful thing to be in this room. That is such a powerful question, and I think a necessary one to start off with. And I think for me, as a person that is rooted in sexual and reproductive justice, that is my political home, but I am also a creative and I believe in the power of culture. And so what I think is going to help translate what we're talking about here is culture as the vehicle. Right? We have to make a really direct connection to ensuring that those folks who are the kind of like holders of culture, and when I say that, I mean that broadly. I'm talking about art, I'm talking about public figures, I'm talking about these influencers, I'm talking about our musicians and folks of the sort. We can go back through all times in history, and we have seen the power of artists connecting art to activism in a really powerful way. Nina Simone says it's an artist's duty to reflect the times. I truly believe in that. And so I feel like our most powerful tool right now is to create and connect those intentional connections with those forces of nature who are moving culture to actually help us impart that to the people on a wider level. Our organizations are fantastic, but everyone is not following work of organizations who are doing social justice every single day. They're just not doing that. But they are following hip hop, they are following the culture, they are following these influencers. So how are we making sure that we're connecting with them and bringing them into our work so that we can actually have broader platforms to reach people in quicker ways and to make the connections happen faster? That's the thing I've been really focusing on.
Love that. I want to take this to something that we're actually going to talk about it on our live podcast on Sunday, and it's Black women being under attack. So you think about Breonna Taylor, Charlene Lyles, Fonnie Willis, Marilyn Mosby, Rachel Rollins, Jasmine Crockett, Kamala Harris, Glenda Glover, right? At every place where, even whether we sit at the intersection of power or not, Black women are under attack. Terrence said in these polling results that us talking about those attacks isn't resonating. What do we do to ensure that resonates? Because what we can't do is stop talking about the attacks, right? So what do we do to ensure that that also translates and connects?
I think that, well, first of all, thanks for inviting us, Mel, and for this conversation. I think, we become numb to the attacks because they're happening so frequently. It's just something else in our day because another Black woman, and we become numb. And so part of what we have to do, those of us who are paying attention, is rip the Band-Aid off the numbness and sometimes rephrase it, reframe it, so that people understand it's not just Breonna Taylor in the headline, it's your sister. It's your cousin, it's your auntie, it's your mama, that this is what the society is doing. And I just want to address the elephant in the room. We are in a political moment in this time, right now, right this very second. And we have a sister who is under attack. That is our vice president. Now, they're not coming out calling her names and all of that, but watch the pundits and watch the talking heads as they are banding about names of who could replace. Not that he's going anywhere, but just as they are imagining who could replace, what name are they leaving out? It is erasure of the highest order that the sitting Vice President of the United States is not even in their imagination as being qualified. And if they will do it to her, we ain't got nothing coming. And so it is incumbent upon us in this time to have that conversation. Why is she not being mentioned? What is the problem? Why can't you imagine a Black woman as the candidate? Why can't you? Why can't all these white boy talking heads imagine a Black woman? And that is the problem. We are not even in their imagination. They don't see us. It is erasure. It is infuriating. It is offensive. And this is an exact moment for us to say, no, 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 no. I will not be unseen. Because if you unsee her, you unsee me. And we have to make it clear every single day. You don't have to like her. I don't care if you like her or not. She ain't coming to my house for dinner. That's right. She ain't coming to watch your kids. It's not relevant. Can she go over to cross the water and talk to them foreign leaders? Yes. Can she do the job? Yes. She been doing the job? Yes. So I don't have to like all them pantsuits she's wearing. That's not irrelevant. But what is relevant is that for our children, for our daughters, for our brothers, we have to demand that we are seen in our joy and in our pain. We must be seen. Our breath must be recognized. Our souls must be honored. And when we do that, we pierce through the numbness. Because it's not just another black woman, it's my auntie. It's my sister. It's my mama. It's my grandmama. And you will not erase her.
I love that, Bishop. You know,
I'd like to add to that, if I may, please. I think one of the things that we really need to be clear about is it is about power. It is about black women rising to levels of power that put the fear into white men that they will be erased, really, is what it's all about. It's about power. It's about putting us back in our place.
That's right.
In their eyes. It's about power. Black women in power. Black women are the highest voting bloc in this country. You did not hear them start to talk about that in any real sense until after the Doug Jones election, when there was no other explanation about how he won other than black women in Alabama. So it's about power, and I think we need to let our young people know, particularly our young people, but us as well, is that there is always backlash when we rise to power. It has been historic. Look at history all the way from Reconstruction forward. Every time we rise to power,
They push back.
there is backlash and there is a pushback. So what we are seeing now is that backlash and that pushback, and we need to be clear about the fact that we will not be erased. We are not leaving. We're not going anywhere. We're going to continue to vote, and we're going to continue to support these black women, because black women is the backbone of this country and has saved this country over and over and over, and we will save it again.
Yep. Thank you so much. When Bishop was talking, one of the things I thought about, I know this is a nonpartisan organization. Mel, this is not partisan at all. You are not being partisan. I'm about to be. I'm sorry. Charge it to me, not to Mel, okay? For any of the feds in the room, it's on me. Now,
501c3 nonpartisan.
listen here. We're going to protect the status, but I'm not on the board, so I'm safe. Thank you. So, you talked about the ways in which we need to show up for KDH, for Kamala Harris. If it weren't for Kamala Harris on debate night.
Well, that's
Okay, well, I'm just going to leave that there.
well.
But she's been saving this administration. She's been working on this administration's behalf. And we have to treat her and cover her like that is us, to your point. Now, speaking of black women saving things, that's also nothing new to us. Not 5 minutes. Okay, well, hold on real quick. Speaking of salvation, the one thing that comes to mind is one of our queens, an ancestor, who said, and ain't I a woman and ain't I black? Yep. So we've been talking about intersectionality without brilliantly naming it for so long because we don't have a choice. We have to figure out in this time how we stand on business, as was said earlier, in our intersectionality, embrace the fullness and wholeness of who we are. How do we do that and also save this country from itself, and also save democracy, and also ensure, because this is the part that I want to get to, that we're not the ones launching the attacks. Even in 2008, when Barack Obama was running, what I remember the most is black people saying he couldn't win. It's not just white pundits that are saying, skip it. What about Gavin Newsom? What about everybody else but Kamala Harris? Right? How do we ensure that we're abiding by doing no harm? That we embrace the fullness of who we are. We're not afraid of who we are.
Well, the first thing we have to understand is that we are not able to save this democracy and allow anti-racism the entire last 70 years to be dismantled piece by piece by piece. And that's exactly what's happening right now. We also have to remember that when people go after something, it's because it's valuable. They came after our vote because they know we were the ones that chose the presidency. They come after our history because they know if we're empowered by our own story, we are better able to save ourselves. they come after targets that they think are not well defended, because once they get those victories, they can push it to greater and greater victories. So just look at what happened over the last 3 years. They came after Nicole Hannah-Jones in 1619. Why? Because that tells a true history of this country and our own role in saving ourselves. They came after CRT. Why? Because it talks about how racism is still part of our institutions. They came after intersectionality. Why? Because that's where we live. They come after black women. Why? Because they know we are the most politically active. We're the ones that set the agenda for the black community. If they take us out, they take black people out. If they take black people out, they take the democracy down. That's what January 6th was about. That's why they say that they want their country back, because we are the ones that are making these decisions. It's our political power that is the backbone of the Democratic Party. So if they can understand how important we are, if they can see how significant we are, why can't we see how significant we are? Why can't we expect people to defend us? Why can't we expect that all of the attacks that we are experiencing are the reasons why people say, if they're going after our sister, they're going after something valuable and we have to take it back. So it's really up to us to connect the dots, between their attempt to erase our history, the attempts to take black feminism out of African American studies, the attempt to take Toni Morrison out, Ruby Bridges out. This is our legacy that we need to pass on to our children. So I'm not surprised at some of the data that we hear from Terrence. What are our young people being taught? What do they know about our struggle? If we're not able to pass our struggle on from the past, we don't have a chance of recreating a future that we can live in.
Thank you so much. I'm going to come to you, Cassandra, to close us, to take us home. One of the things that Terrence also mentioned is hope is fragile, right? We can't continue to write checks that can't cash. So what are some of the things that we can ensure that we push, pushing our issues all the way to the ballot box, on the other side of the ballot box, pushing the elected officials on every level to make sure that they're representing our best interests, because that is not partisan, that's just black. Okay, so I covered from earlier.
Yes, it's just black. You know, this whole conversation is just really full circle, because it says to me a couple of things. I'm thinking about the mama's kitchen tables. Yes. I am thinking about the culture, which we know. When I think about Mississippi, I think about the South. Black people, storytelling is so key and so important. I'm also thinking about, I think it was Joe Taker who talked about, our organizing. When we organize, organizing can be and can trump money any day when we organize. I'm thinking about Shamika. Shamika, stand up. She is one of our ambassadors from Mississippi. We got a couple more ambassadors. Wave your hand, ambassadors over there. Keep standing up. One of the things that we did, and this is, you talk about the joy, you talk about the hope, because it is fragile, but I understand why this room matters, because we are a collective, and we know when we come together, we stand together, we support one another, and it gives us hope, right? But one thing about Shamika, we did a storytelling project about the impact, the fight for health care in Mississippi for Black and Latinx women. And one of the things, she has a very interesting story, and we've taken these stories all over the country. We took them up to the White House, all around the state, to hold our elected officials accountable, because our state legislature, we know in Mississippi, we still hadn't expanded Medicaid, and we know we have the maternal health desert in the country. We've had 37 hospitals that have closed. Black women have gone in an emergency, have driven up to an emergency room. There's no emergency room, and they've died. So the storytelling is in the lived experiences. And one of the things that we did, she told her amazing story about her incredible healthcare journey, where she was losing her life, losing her baby, losing it. And you know what happened? Her doctor heard about the story, somehow heard about the story, called her and said, I'm sorry, come to my office, I want to talk. He's a white doctor. What could have I done? And she was truthful. And she said, well, let me tell you what I could have done, what you could have done. It's rooting these stories, rooting them, and then holding our elected officials accountable because they said, well, we don't see the data. She is the data, right? And so rooting it in the experiences of the stories of the people and then holding them accountable to say, we matter, we will not be erased, we are seen, and come sit here at this table to let you understand where racial and gender equity is. You're not treating me like you would treat this white woman who will come in your doctor's office. Thank you, Shamika.
I love that. Of course.
I just wanted to say something real quick because the power of storytelling is real, and I think that that is what has contributed to what came out in that data that our brother showed us today, in particular around how the topic of abortion is a topic that is moving us as black folks right now. I don't want that to be said in this room and not contextualize that into what's really, really happening. For those who may not know, we know with the fall of Roe because of the Dobbs decision that, you know, we are in a state of emergency as it pertains to bodily autonomy in this country for a myriad of reasons. But just to give you all a little bit of the stats, 41 states have abortion bans in effect with only limited exceptions. 14 states have a total abortion ban. 27 states have abortion bans based in gestational duration. 7 states ban abortion at or before 18 weeks, and 20 states ban abortion at some point after 18 weeks. As of the data that we have so far from the Guttmacher Institute, 171,000 people have had to travel around this country to receive abortion health care. It is massive what is happening, and abortion storytelling has been crucial to helping people really understand what is at stake and what is problematic right now. And when we think about the power of intersectionality and why reproductive justice as a frame rooted in intersectionality is so important for black folks, is because it allows us to not only talk about what's important around abortion, which is obviously moving us at the voting block, but it's also about connecting those stories about health equity in the ways that this story just showed us in this room. It is about making sure that we're talking about what's happening with our children. So I know that we said something around data in the room, and I just, as a person who's sitting here who does reproductive justice work every single day, I could not contextualize that into something bigger. But if we know that that's something that is moving our people, if you are working in education, in civil rights, in voting, whatever that is, and you are not connected to this work of reproductive justice, I want to give you a call in this moment to get connected, right? To not be scared to talk about these issues with our people, to not be scared to talk about what is needed around bodily autonomy in this country. As a black queer woman who does this work, it has been hard to have these conversations in some of our rooms with these generational differences and the sort, but it is real that our young people understand this issue as a key important part of their lives, and so we have to make those connections stronger so that we can build these narratives that will help continue to build our power. Y'all feel me?
Thank you so
I
much,
appreciate it.
Monica. I want to come to Dr. Crenshaw really quick. You had an announcement, and then we are going to wrap. I know we're over time.
So just let me connect one dot between the last two comments that we heard and the attack on our ability to educate ourselves. Because one of the things that finally happened in response to the maternal mortality is that medical schools started to create coursework that would allow doctors to understand what they're doing wrong. Why black women are, basically black women in the maternity ward are like our brothers at a traffic stop. It is where we are most vulnerable. So the idea was to try to educate people out of the racism that makes us so vulnerable. Now with this attack on anti-racism and critical race theory, Congress is about to pass a law to deny funding to medical schools who are actually trying to teach them to do better by us. That's how deep this is going. So if you have any question about how this disempowerment is happening, how they're trying to take away the power that we've had to say this is what racism looks like, this is what we need in order to protect ourselves, this is what the attack on all of these projects, all of these ideas is all about. Here's the last thing to know. In 25 states, our students cannot learn about our history anymore. 25 states. This is about the next generation. So we have to come up with workarounds. We have to figure out how we tell our story to empower our voters so we can recapture what we are losing. So we're having Critical Race Theory Summer School in Nashville, Tennessee, co-hosted by Justin Jones, who is a phenomenal young leader who is refusing to back down. So if you want to learn again why we need to be in this battle, if we want to learn the lessons from 60 years ago, we're not about just commemorating Freedom Summer. We're about playing those messages forward, going to the site where the justice began, where the demands for equality really took off. So we're going to Nashville. We're gonna be sitting in the seat of where the movement really started. We're going to be with SNCC folks, and the whole idea is to have an intergenerational conversation about the lessons of the past, how it can inform the present, so we can protect our future. So check it out, aapf.org, and when you're done here, come on over to the Cultural Center, where we're going to talk about critical race theory, intersectionality, and how we need to save our nation.
Love it. Bishop, you want to bring us home?
Well, I want to talk to the churchy women for a minute. Yeah. To the churchy women. Ain't got any churchy women in here? And I want to go back to something Sister Monica said, because I've been in enough rooms with churchy women to know we can get confused sometimes, because we're trying to make all of these issues work with our faith, and we're not. Pastor might be saying something. So that's why I just want to say something to the churchy women, of which I am one, obviously. When we're talking about reproductive freedom and reproductive justice, I want us to remember that the same demonic forces that were controlling our bodies in slavery, keeping us from making decisions about who we would marry, when we would marry, whether we would have children, how many children we would have, and what their names would be if they were born. Those same demonic forces, because churchy women, y'all know, y'all understand demonic. Wave your hand, demonic. Those same demonic forces that were at work in slavery, the devil ain't got no new tricks, are the same demonic forces that in the year of our Lord 2024 are still trying to control your body and tell you what you can do, who you can marry, whether you can have children, when you gonna have them. They let you name them, but that's all they let you do. So don't get confused about how the devil is working today. Come on, somebody. The same demonic forces that didn't want you to read are the ones that are banning books. Yes. The same demonic forces that were keeping us in slave shacks are the ones that are now saying homelessness is a crime. It's the same demonic force throughout this that wouldn't let us vote, that now trying to stop our progress that we gained by voting. Don't get confused. It's the same devil. And the devil is a liar, and he can be defeated if we do the work that we must do. Watch as well as pray. Pray as well as march. Say amen, somebody.
Amen. I love it. Amen. So we are wrapping. It is clear that we have hope. It might be fragile, but our power is not fragile. There is power in our village, there is power in our votes, and there's power in our voices. Shamika told us so. We love y'all. Thank you. God bless you. We have one more panel. Right, Mel? Okay. I got my instructions from the back. All right. Thank you all so much. Can you give our panel a round of applause? There's a mic drop and all that.
Okay, they told me I could do this real quick too. So for those who are interested in talking more about a body revolution and the work of reproductive justice, our national Let's Talk About Sex conference is happening in Washington, D.C., August 20th 23rd through the 25th. Let's Talk About SexConference.com. Sister Song puts that on. And on Saturday at 1 o'clock p.m. on the main stage of GBEF in the Convention Center, you will be able to find our Trust Black Women build out to get all things about Trust Black Women. But we're having our Creating a Body Revolution panel with the amazing Kendrick Sampson from Insecure, DeWanda Wise from She's Gotta Have It, Dr. Tanya Bass, and Dominique Morgan. And we're going to be talking about our new campaign around Black sex re-education. So come out and get educated, good people, and get in the movement. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. All right, our next panel, we have Commissioner Sheila Tyson, convener of Alabama Coalition on Black Civic Participation. Let's clap them up as they come forward. I know you're eating that chicken and waffles. I don't have none. Clap with me. Tamika Ramsey, convener of Michigan Black Women's Roundtable and the Coalition on Black Civic Participation, founder T. Ramsey and Associates. Keep clapping. Angel Wilson, Senior Director of ERP Resources, and Crystal Jackson, founder of Mosaic Genius. I know this is a room that goes to church and it's close to Sunday. Please clap for our panelists, y'all. Thank you. I appreciate it. Mel told me thumbs up. Mel, are we doing music right now, Mel, or are we paneling? Somebody said paneling. Who told me paneling? She said paneling for sure. Music, just hold for us. You're going to give us the benediction after this panel. Okay, here we go. All right. Hello, ladies. Hello, hello, hello. It is good to see you. All right. So we talked a little bit on the last panel about us being under attack as Black women. There's an extra mic too in case you're looking for it. I want us to tap into just a moment. Terrence brought us into focus groups for Black women in this room, whether at your jobs, in your communities, you have a good friend, there's something that you're watching. How many of you all know and have experienced being a Black woman under attack? All right. So it's half and half. I think some of them might be enjoying the grits, but I think that this is likely a room where we've been under attack. How many of you all are tired of the attacks? So more people tired of it than have been attacked. I understand. I couldn't even, like, come on, you know this, right? I want us to sit with that just for a moment, because I think what's most important is when we come to a space like Essence Fest, that we leave more equipped than when we came. So what are some of the things Black women who are under attack can do to ensure that the experience of the attack doesn't take them out? I feel like we need that encouragement right now. So whomever wants to start.
You know, I feel like that you can tell your own story and don't feel like you're only being attacked by white people, because Black people do it too. You know, especially during elections, they don't think about you have children to grow up in these communities along with spouses. See, they don't care about that. Then it also stops other people that can really serve the community. It stops them from even running for public office. Good people who you know could get in there and do something. But this should be taught early. At an early young child, you know, when you're growing up. You know, it's a place for this, maybe on the playground somewhere. But when you're dealing with millions of people's lives and the quality of life of communities, it's no plaything. It's no joke. We got to take these positions serious. These positions from this chair that I'm sitting in, someone had to pass a bill or law or something to make sure this chair was stable enough to hold a person sitting in it. That's how serious this is. But we take all of this stuff as a joke because you're running for a public seat, so you're going to go lie on this person. Don't know that that's damaging that person. Children, family, pastor, and all of that. And the ones that's participating with this lie, they just as guilty as anyone else. So if they don't have help, with participation in the $5 that they give you to sit up and lie on people, you're selling your soul for $50. You know, but then you're damaging people, family, lifeline through that with social media. You know, the children can go back and look at all of that. And this stuff is serious. It's really, really serious from when Jefferson County elected 20-some female judges. And Essence did a story on it. But when I tell you they have gotten rid of two of them, off of lies, personal attacks, that the community could have really had, they could have stopped it by going down there demonstrating and letting the system know that they're not going to put up with that. But the 2 seats that they removed, they moved them to another county trying to make sure that they will not be replaced in Jefferson County, which is the largest county in the state.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris.
Well, Angela, mine is going to be more around finances, right? How we think about our money. So we talk a lot about policy and voting.
1 second, Krista. For all the saints in the fellowship hall, I'm going to need you to go out into the vestibule because we're trying to have a strategy conversation in here. I love it. So that was not a cut. That was a nice little nudge. That's a little
Nice
nudge.
nudge.
Bye-bye.
So, you know, we talk a lot about supporting our candidates, making change in our community, and that costs money. And this week we launched our Southern Strategy, which is focused on movement in the South. And what I want to say to women in particular is stop trying to go at it alone. It is too hard. Money moves in aggregate. Like you think about how money moves, it moves collectively. And so I would challenge us to think about strategies to move our money together. And I know that sounds like, okay, but the other community does something well. They know how to pick a winner. All of us, it can't be about everybody's small idea.
Thank you.
We need to pick some winners and collectively get behind them. And that can be black women. Now, the stats are horrible when you talk about the closing the racial wealth gap, where we'll be by 2028. I'm not going to repeat those numbers. But if we start to think differently and decide that collectively, moving in aggregate, then we can put our money where our mouth is and start to see some collective change.
I want to ask y'all this, because this is something I've really been wrestling with. Since we saw all the hands who are exhausted from all the attacks, there's a resource challenge, right? One of the things on the slides was, it's not the economy stupid, it's the cost stupid. And there's another kind of cost. It is the social, psychological, and emotional toll that these collective attacks have on us and have been having on us. And we're like, okay, where do I strategically put the emotional and physical resources I have left to fight this attack? Maybe financial too. When we are attacked from the hair on our heads, to the jobs that we have, to forget it, white folks, we're gonna let you have your own, we're gonna start our own Fearless Fund, and then that's attack too. So when we talk about resources, and again, Mark Morial before he left talked about what we could do in a Saks. How do we take that same energy out of Saks and bring it to the attacks? That was Reverend Jackson by accident, but thank God and amen. How do we take it from the Saks and put it on the attacks? Like, what do we do? Give me some concrete steps. I need some action items in here.
So I can jump in. I think the first thing we need to do is, I have never, as a small business owner, applied to the Fearless Fund. But when I heard they were under attack, I used all of my resources to support them. It shouldn't be, will this hurt me? It is, will it hurt people who look like me, right? We need to, the black dollar is what runs this country. If we disinvest it, businesses would shut down, yet we're scared to do that. Why are we scared to take our money out of people? I work hard for my money. You ain't gonna give me no attitude while I'm spending my money with you. Let me go to my sister who I can support. A black dollar only travels one time in a community. One time, and then that money leaves us. Why are we so afraid to invest in ourselves? Why are we afraid to invest in people who look like us? I start funds that help small businesses. We call it a collective save. We all save $500 and then loan it out. People are gonna pay me back because I live right next door to them. You can't have from me if we at the grocery store together or we at the park. And it builds some collective power. That's what we need. Black people we beg for money, that's ours.
But I love what you just said, and I worry that it was missed. Please talk about one more time what you do with your $500 and what you all are doing in terms of a village concept.
Yes.
That is amazing.
So because it is hard, so I have a consulting firm that supports black businesses across the country. And one of the things is, where do we get our money from? It's from us. We don't go to banks. And people say, well, we have programs. Those programs has disenfranchised us for decades. Okay, so don't tell me that I should go there because this resource, when this resource usually is just for show. So we put our money together to invest in each other. That's how we're going to move this country. That's how black people are. We need to stop asking for things when we have it internally. If you spend listen, I love Coach, okay? But there are black women who make amazing black bags. I will find them and buy it. Why do we constantly look for a name brand who we made popular when we can make our sister popular too? That's our fault.
Popular and wealthy.
Yes.
You know, I have to say, dang, we got 5 minutes again. we need a sleepover.
Yes.
We need to have a sleepover. I'm not gonna mess y'all up Essence Weekend. Y'all like, I'm about to get out of here now. Not today. But Mel, where's Mel? I'm not trying to do more work, Mel, but we need a committee. We need to have a sleepover. Mel, you're not listening, but I'm gonna tell you later. I love you. Wow. Like, just wow for a minute. Okay. I really want us to figure out a collective response that moves the needle immediately and it scares them immediately. Yes. There was more, I'm gonna come right to you. There was more support when you talked about buying the black bag in this room. I'm coming right to y'all. This is not a cut, it's a love tap. But when she talked about the bag, you're like, mm-hmm. When she talked about the $500 circulating to businesses to keep their doors open, you can hear a pin drop in this room. Why? You know why? I want to hear you. You have my mic. You have all the mic. I want to know why.
You know, I think that as black people, we feel like in order to be somebody important, that we got to wear the best, the name brand clothes and the jewelry and all of that. Working with white people all my life and people with a lot of money, they do not ride their money, they don't wear their money, and they stay in nice communities. But they enjoy their money more with travel, vacation, and food. They eat at fine restaurants and things like that. So what we've got to do is, when the government, the local government, have so many programs that we do qualify, but when we're at the table running them programs, do we make the initiative to make sure small businesses or black minority businesses are funded? Are we doing what we should do when we're at the table? No.
Amen.
No, no, no. I know this for a fact because I'm sitting at a table that I had to fight like hell by myself with other black individuals, sit there with their mouth like it was somebody had sewed it together. And I was the only one fighting and pulling, trying to get the resources to fund these. And then I told them at the meeting, I will not use the word minority anymore. I damn black.
Right. I listened to
my colleagues here just in the city of New Orleans. I've had the privilege of working with Mark Morial when he was mayor, him being my friend, and when Katrina hit and Ida hit, many of our black businesses lost a lot. They lost their businesses. And we were able to get dollars from federal government, but it was just for a moment. It was not long lasting. I heard after Ida, a gentleman say, "Oh, this is the year of the black man." Now, that black business doesn't exist today, but he was able and she was able to get monies right after, but it's not existing. So we have to be at the table to make sure that we're getting funding to sustain us. And what I did see, which was beautiful, other African American companies around the nation coming to support those businesses that have been lost. Churches are businesses, and so many churches around this nation came and aided the churches right here in New Orleans and some other parts of Louisiana that had been affected by Katrina, by Ida. There's Houma, Louisiana. And they still are, and some of the river parishes, as Vincent knows, they're still trying to recoup from Ida. And I saw a gentleman come down from DC, start a business in Houma, and now he's back in DC because there has not been enough resources poured. So we have to be at the table with the president, vice president, all those small black businesses that are in need of sustaining, to give them the resources that it goes a long way. It goes from generation to generation, and that's what's not happening.
I want to say one thing real quick, because you asked steps, right? And I think we have to unlearn that the white man's ice is colder. It is not. That's number one. Number two, we have to unlearn mistrust of each other. So when you are in positions where you can help black people, help them and tell them what they need to do. Stop being worried about if you're going to get embarrassed, if they going to mess up. White people mess up all the time. And they get chance after chance after chance. So if you are in a position to help another black person, you're going to have to trust them. And when you trust them, guide them. You know how many meetings happen before the actual meeting? Let's just be like real talk. Unlearn mistrust. Take a risk on your own and coach them. That's all. If that's where you are with what you have, that's what you can do. And I can't say it enough. Stop trying to do stuff by yourself. Find partnership and work in aggregate so you can move real capital to support our leaders in our community.
And sometimes we have to hold their hands and walk them through. That's the
step by step
purpose of it. I don't mind holding your hand long as you're going to learn and you're going to do right. You know.
I'm so grateful for you all. I think that there's a lot that we need to do. And I hope that you all understand there are so many ideas in this room, but people are lacking the capacity to get things done. If we come together, we'll be able to do that. There needs to be a fund to support Fearless Fund's legal attacks. We need to be pouring into the PACs. Again, Mel, this is not you, this is me. The PACs that support our candidates, Higher Heights, Collective PAC, Black PAC. We need to be pouring our resources. We need to be volunteering. We can volunteer with NCBCP and Black Women's Roundtable and all these organizations. After our folks get elected, yes, you can celebrate, but then you have to, yes, hold them accountable and also ensure they're protected. One of the most recent attacks, and I'm telling you all this because I want you to be aware. I'm telling you this as family. There is another DOJ indictment coming. Marilyn Mosby was the first. They were successful. They are making an example out of her. They have done that. She's not the last. I'm telling you today, we have to get ready. It is very serious. I don't want to leave you on gloom and doom, but I also ain't going to lie to you. We need to pony up our resources. It is not just economic resources. It is prayer. It is all of your talents. It is your time. We have to do this, my sisters. We got work to do. I love y'all so much.
And train
I believe in your
early.
power. Yes, train early.
They need to be trained.
Mel is about to train us off the stage. I love y'all so much. Thank you all. God bless you. Enjoy Essence Fest.
Thank you.
Hi, how's everybody? I want you to do this. Stand up. Stand up. Don't walk out the door, just stand up. Stretch a little bit. All the way up. Let's say all the way up, all the way up. I can't sing. All right? Stretch a little bit. Do a little whatever. Whatsoever. Just move. Shake it off. Because y'all thought the first group half was powerful. Wait for the second group. And so we got, while we're about to switch and bring out our jazz artists, where's our MC coming up? We didn't want to, shh. One of the organizing things we want to do, how many folks are from Louisiana? Okay, all right. So you got to get a quick announcement from our Louisiana convener and co-convener.
Hello, ladies. Thank you for just attending today. And we want to take this opportunity to just offer you the ability to be a part of Black Women's Roundtable Louisiana. We've had great panelists, and we're just excited about everything that has gone forth. You guys already know the work ahead of us, but we need strong Black women to carry this state. So please, if you're interested, if you're excited about what you heard today, scan our code over there, contact us, and we're going to have an interest meeting later on, and we're going to start to strategize to take our state. So we look forward to meeting you, and I'm going to let my co-convener say something else.
Okay, it's not that much else to add, but I just want to thank you all again for coming. We are so thankful for the support, and we just wish to continue doing this work with you all. Please scan the QR code. We also want to make sure we're getting the Black youth involved as well. So we'll be having something for them, the college students and high schoolers, etc. So just make sure that if you're not able to scan the QR code, you speak to myself and Ms. Gwen, and let's do this. Thank you all.
Okay, everyone, you can sit back down. Enjoying your meal. Critics have put